People pay money to see me in a 20x20 ring.
Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the 20x20 Ring Crew. That's Matt over there. What's up, Matt?
Hey, what's going on?
And, of course, I'm Joe. We're here, your 20x20 Ring Crew, episode 92.
92.
God damn,
We're getting old.
I'm getting old.
You're getting old. Old and senile.
I feel like Danny Glover in Lethal Weapon. Yeah, that's me. It's good to be back.
Absolutely.
I was down with a stomach bug. Actually, me and my family were down with a stomach bug. I haven't seen you in like another week and a half or whatever. But
Something
hey,
like that, yeah.
It's all good. We got wrestling going on in the background as usual. We got some Ring of Honor center stage shows going on one side, and
St. Louis Anarchy.
Their GTA 2020 show.
Gateway to the Arc.
Courtesy of IWTV Live. That's independent wrestling television for you folks not in the know.
The app works now.
Yeah.
I have not had an issue with the app so far.
That's really good news to hear, man, because you and I have been talking about just checking out more content on this app for a long time, but back when we initially started checking it out, the app was horrible. Could not... at least for me, anyway. Yeah. I know you had some issues, but I could not get full shows to work for the fucking life of me. But it seems like everything is well and good now, and that's awesome. That's good to hear. Please definitely go check out all independent wrestling, no matter where you are. You can definitely do that through us. Help support the show, and check out something in your neck of the woods. Last I counted, there was literally 53 different promotions you could get through Brown Paper Tickets.
Okay.
If you don't know, Brown Paper Tickets is an independent ticketing company. And you can do that over at 20x20crew.com/podcast/Brown Paper Tickets. All one word. And you'd be surprised at some of the stuff on there. Usually pretty cheap. You can buy tickets in advance. It's great. It's great stuff. So definitely check it out. Go see a show. Go have some fun. Support pro wrestling.
Yeah, it really doesn't matter what where you're at. I mean, every major city's got at least one independent professional wrestling company, and you know what? These are the stars of tomorrow. Sometimes the stars of yesterday show up, and stars of today. You never know what you're going to see at an indie show, and it's the cheapest ticket in town, man. It's just a great time, and a lot of times too, you watch a show, or watching a show right now. So far, I haven't recognized anybody here, but you know what? You never know. Maybe you're seeing the next Kenny Omega. Maybe you're seeing the next, whoever.
As long as it's not Scott Steiner.
Yeah. He's back, right?
Yeah, I got to watch that on episode 13. Well, I don't know what... It's like season 2, episode whatever.
I think it is the 13th episode.
But yeah,
total.
13th overall episode of NWA Power. And let me tell you, you always play with fire giving that man a live microphone. The promo he cut was about how he hated fat asses, and I'm just surprised they let him get away with half the shit he said. So, kudos to you, Scott Steiner.
So I haven't seen that episode, so I haven't seen that promo. I'm curious to why they would risk that, given the controversy they had a few weeks ago or a month ago, whatever.
I don't know. maybe they talked to him beforehand and got his reassurance, hey, I'm not going to pull a Jim Cornette or what have you. But if you talk to a lot of people, especially online, especially in his neck of the woods, I don't think he really has too much going on anymore. other than showing up at Shoney's all the damn time, because he owns the Shoney's out in Georgia, wherever he's at.
Mm-hmm.
So he seems like he's there a lot.
Yeah.
And I know I've talked to old school fans on Facebook, and they've been to the Shoney's. they've met him there. And it literally is like, hey, he just fucking hangs out a lot there because he's the owner and manager. So, but I don't know, man. I don't know if I want to be at a buffet. I don't know if I want to be anywhere and like have to deal with a Scott Steiner like just watching me eat and shit like that. It's not appealing to me.
Yeah, not a to-do list. No bucket list here. Real quick here, again, we're watching one of the two shows Joe mentioned, Ring of Honor. Saturday Night Center Stage took place January 11th, if I'm getting my days right, on a Saturday, given the name. St. Louis Anarchy, Gateway to Anarchy. I got that name wrong. It's not Gateway to the Art, Gateway to Anarchy. It's taking place in a very small venue called Spalding Hall. It's in Alton, Illinois. A lot of their shows are based in either upper Missouri or southern Illinois. You mentioned before the show here, and this is for anyone that wants to book a show, the height of the ceiling is very important. And in this match, we've already seen how it is coming against them. So inside on that turnbuckle, if a guy stands on top of that turnbuckle, their head would be pushing up against the ceiling.
Yeah, they have to duck.
So that is going to be a problem for any high flyer throughout the night.
Which is like more than half of this match we're watching right now. Like, they look like they're all high flyers except for him.
Yeah, there's definitely like a powerhouse guy who could be a high flyer too. Kind of looks like from the back, he kind of looks like Cien Almas, and then until you turn around, he doesn't look like that anymore. But
he's not Cien
Almas. Yeah, that's important, people. For all you would-be bookers, size, the height of your ceiling is important. You don't.
And well, I mean, you got to also think outside the box. And if you're gonna book a venue like this, maybe just hire shorter people to wrestle. I know my big fucking 6'5" ass is not gonna get on that top rope and try to pull shit off. No, thank you.
But either way, it's independent wrestling. I'm sure they'll improvise. But yeah, that is definitely important. Now, Ring of Honor. We got to go back to to what we, not necessarily what we saw this weekend, but it is important to discuss what happened in Ring of Honor, what's going on in Ring of Honor, because in 2019 they had probably one of their worst years in recent history.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we had talked about on the show, if they have a year remotely as bad as last year, are they going to survive against all of this competition that exists within the industry? And it seems like they just kind of pulled a rabbit out of their hat. For one thing,
or a villain out of a heist.
Yeah. So last year they became very notorious to now know that they are not paying their talent what they necessarily should be paying their talent.
Nowhere near what they should be paying their talent.
So it leads to the question, are they having financial woes or are they just fucking cheapskates? Well, that answer hasn't been fully answered yet, but they do have money. They do have money to throw at somebody, because I don't know the exact dollar amount, but I know that it's from multiple sources that it is what's being called the equivalent to a WWE main roster paycheck to one other than the villain Marty Scurll to stay within Ring of Honor. He has re-signed with the company. I don't know the lengths of it off the top of my head.
We don't know. We're assuming it's multi-year.
Right. But that's not the only thing. They did not just lock him in for at least a year, but more likely multiple years. But he is now apparently the head booker for Ring of Honor, which opens up a whole clusterfuck of Pandora's box opportunities. And we potentially have seen that already. And again, I'm not crediting Marty Scurll. Joe and I were talking about this before we started recording.
But it is really coincidental.
Yeah. So here's what's gone down. A couple of things. First, Ring of Honor announced that they will be in Lakeland, Florida, WrestleMania weekend. Again, WrestleMania is happening in Tampa this year, so they're doing the whole. They're actually the ones that started that trend following WrestleMania. Supercard of Honor is happening, and couple announcements, key figures that have been booked for that show. One is Will Ospreay, and one other than the leader of the Bullet Club himself, the Switchblade Jay White, have both announced that they will be at that show. They're booked for that show. That's all we know so far. But New Japan has been very distant from Ring of Honor since the G1 Supercard, and including pulling out of that big summer show that they had back.
Yeah, that was supposed to be 4 different organizations working together,
and it came down to I believe 2.
2, yeah.
Yeah. That was the SummerSlam weekend in Toronto, and so you got 2 main, very big names in Ring of Honor. In New Japan coming to Ring of Honor for a show. And then that's not all. We mentioned that summer show. Now, the other organization that was supposed to be there was none other than the National Wrestling Alliance. They pulled out, and it became very apparent that they were no longer doing business. So we're going to fast forward this Ring of Honor weekend that we just had. The Sunday show, which took place on January 12th, called Honor Reigns Supreme. None other than Strictly Business shows up, and including the leader, none other than the NWA World Heavyweight Champion himself, Nick Aldis, shows up and delivers a message to Marty Scurll, who showed up at the December NWA pay-per-view, and everyone thought, okay, he's going to NWA, or at least he's going to be part of NWA, because his contract with Ring of Honor was expiring, or right. At that point, I believe it expired.
It had expired, yeah.
And he does that, okay, it looks like he's at least doing NWA stuff. Comes back to re-signing with Ring of Honor and becoming the head booker, and now NWA shows up to Ring of Honor television, all over again. And it leads you to wonder, is this because of Marty Scurll? And I know it's a lot to put on one guy, but as my partner here says, the coincidence is it's a little too much to just bat an eye at.
Yeah.
There's a lot happening because of that, or at least around the time of that, I should say. And it's kind of hard to say completely flat out no, that it's not because of Marty.
And Chris Jericho shows up to New Japan for Wrestle Kingdom with the AEW title because that was a stipulation for his match with Ace. And New Japan did not shy away from showing the belt or mentioning it or anything like that. But then afterwards, Chris Jericho said the door was closed.
Yeah.
But then about a week ago, you had Cody Rhodes say that the door keeps opening and closing, meaning between New Japan and AEW.
Right.
And let's face it, I mean, you'd be stupid not to sit there and kind of factor Marty into all this, especially now with Will Ospreay and Switchblade Jay White showing up for Supercard of Honor. Maybe that's what he meant, that the door keeps opening and closing now because of what Marty was about to do, meaning seal the deal and become head booker and sign a new thing. And let's be really honest about this whole situation. No matter what's going on, there's one thing those guys, meaning the Elite, promised to do when they left to create AEW or go their own ways. And this includes Marty Scurll. Mm-hmm. I understand he's not with them in AEW, but at least not yet. what did they promise to do? They promised to change the wrestling world. And, you know, it would be too much like right. Now that he's head booker and he's making a nice chunk of change with Ring of Honor, why not? Why not sit there and hammer out some sort of partnership? You know, Marty has always said he's probably the most unconventional wrestler you'll meet, because everybody kind of assumes he's going to do this, and then he looks at that and says, no, I don't want to do that. I want to go do something different. And he does it. He's been really smart about working with other companies and not being signed. And I can't wait. I can't wait to see what else comes of this. And I really do think we will see an AEW partnership happen sooner or later. Even if it's just Marty himself. I could definitely see that. He owns Villain Enterprises. He can take that gimmick anywhere he wants. It is not property of any company. So that's where I'm at. That's how I feel about all this. And I'm telling you, man, to me, it just makes too much sense.
It's a very interesting time because this kind of just happened out of nowhere, and it also brought back almost they basically PCO'd their own company in a way of bringing it back to life. And it's just it breathes new life into a company that was very much looking like things were over.
Yeah,
things were at least things
man,
were
they
going
were
down.
swirling the drain like a week ago.
I mean, and it's just it's amazing how fast things have turned around, and it's huge. It's huge to keep a guy like Marty Scurll, because obviously he's a big draw and a good wrestler, but you know he very much has a good head on his shoulders for the business. You know, he also bought into what the Elite was what to that Kool-Aid. And even though he didn't go with them, it doesn't mean that he doesn't believe in that style.
Right.
He doesn't believe in sharing talent, which is a big thing. This is huge. I mean, everything is still yet to be determined. I don't know. There's still so many uncertainties at this point of this recording, but it very much leaves a lot of hope during a time where it seemed like things were kind of.
I'm gonna add
lost.
two more X factors here in all this. For those not keeping up or haven't been able to keep up, by the time you hear this episode, they should be revealed. But you have two open slots in the NWA TV title tournament, and they have already promised that those two men will be from other companies or another company. So I wouldn't put it past Ring of Honor to slip at least one guy in there. I'm not sure that they'll do both, but that's what it's looking like. I don't see anybody from New Japan coming, but I could definitely see two people from Ring of Honor showing up. I couldn't tell you who.
So yeah, I think for sure they would, if anything, it'd be from Ring of Honor right now, but. New Japan's kind of in this again. It's in that weird mix. Okay, you're obviously they announced they're going to bring two guys at the very least to Ring of Honor for the Supercard of Honor show, but you know they're also now you're in that mix again where you know last year they didn't do it as much. They very much kept to themselves, including their United States shows. This is a company that's doing even more U.S. shows this year than they did the previous 2-3 years, probably definitely combined. And you know now you're looking at it, and you know do you start looking at outside talent again to come to your shows? You know, do you start looking at Ring of Honor? Do you start looking at an NWA? And if the doors continue to open, do we eventually see the Elite back in a New Japan Pro Wrestling ring?
Well, you know what? Anybody who has paid attention to New Japan over the past 20 or 30 years, there's one thing that happens for sure. whenever they introduce outside talent to one of their shows, is if it's a New Japan branded show and they're running it, yeah, of course you'll see outside talent. That talent won't go over. that's kind of like an unwritten rule with them, and which is fine. But let's face it, they don't have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
If they want to westernize and come to the States in a big way, you'd be a damn fool not to share talent. A damn fool.
I want to point out something here for, again, I like to dumb things down for the WWE marks. And for those that stick strictly with that company, it's including the NXT only marks as well. Look at what NXT is doing right now. We saw this at the NXT UK pay-per-view Takeover Blackpool. That was WWE's first big event of the year. Hell of a show. Definitely worth watching if you haven't done so.
Oh yeah.
Go over to our website 20x20crew.com/podcast/WWE Network. It's all one word. Get yourself a 30-day subscription, and definitely check out that show as well as the other shows that are happening this month, as well as a huge list of past shows from 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, and so on and so forth.
While you're on there, watch the Rumble.
Watch the Rumble, yeah, watch the Rumble. But before that, watch Worlds Collide. Now, what Worlds Collide is it's NXT versus NXT. It's NXT versus NXT UK. This time around, it's not a bunch of random matches that happen at conventions and they put it all together for a show. This is a live event that's happening in Houston, a city that is just clouded with controversy right now. It's in Houston, and it's NXT versus NXT UK, and you have guys and girls that generally don't see each other, don't face each other because they're on separate brands, and guess what? They're facing each other. You know, Imperium is on both shows, so this Imperium versus the Undisputed Era. Yes, I get it. Like, you can argue, say that's an NXT versus NXT thing, but you have Dragunov versus Finn Balor. We talked about that. We have Ripley versus Toni Storm for the title. That that's cross-branded. I forget the other ones that I said.
You have the, what is that? Fatal 4-Way?
Fatal 4-Way for the Cruiserweight Championship. Right now it's Angel Garza defending against Isaiah Scott and two other people to be determined, which I'm going to assume that they're going to both be from NXT UK. And then to also add to this, you have DIY reuniting, taking on Mustache Mountain. That's a dream match right there.
Hell yeah.
And that's, again, DIY is NXT, Mustache Mountain is NXT UK. That's swapping talent. I get it, they all work for the same company, they all work for WWE, but that's what swapping talent is. Now take that idea that you guys are for and put that with another company like a Ring of Honor, NJPW, AEW potentially, NWA, and what if all that happens on a consistent basis? I'm not saying it needs to happen all the time, because then things become too muddied and all that stuff, and it loses its specialness, its pizzazz. But the fact that you never know who's going to show up at a show, what kind of dream matches you can have, I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on, and I just absolutely love the idea of this potentially happening, and it looks like there's a potential for it to finally take place in ways that we were kind of promised in the past. So I'm all for it. I don't know how much Marty Scurll has anything to do with this. He may not have anything to do with this, but it very much looks like Ring of Honor has pretty much put all their chips in with this, and it's do or die for them. It's definitely do or die, and they definitely don't want to die, and that's what good for them, because it was looking scary. It's looking scary, and we'll see what this does with attendance, and hopefully this time around, when you have foreign people, and I don't just mean like actual foreign people, but non-Ring of Honor participants, let's not be dicks to them. Let's not.
Yeah, right.
Let's not make them
my
uncomfortable
God.
where they don't want to work for you. Let's lose that stigma that Ring of Honor is not a place that you want to do business with. But yeah, that was one thing that happened over this past weekend. Over the course of this wrestling weekend, there was another big show that took place. Potentially, depending on how you want to look at it as a wrestling fan, maybe one of the biggest shows of the year because of what happened. And that I'm talking about Impact Wrestling, Hard to Kill. It was a pay-per-view. I did not watch it. I just
neither did I.
It's not because I don't want to watch it. I just didn't. It's a show that I definitely will watch sooner or later. By the way, for anybody that doesn't have Impact Plus, we got to get them as one of our sponsors on the show because I want to plug them and actually benefit the show. But Impact Plus, definitely get that because every time they do a big show, they do a special show in that neck of the woods, and they did a show, Bash at the Brewery. My God, you got to get Impact Wrestling. Watch that show. That was a hell of a fucking event.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, for right now, in the interim,
yeah.
If you do want to watch what we're talking about, featuring Tessa Blanchard here, 20x20crew.com/podcast/fight. That's FITE. Get yourself a brand new Fight TV subscription. You can catch the pay-per-view on there. You sign up through us with a brand new Fight TV account. We're going to give you $15 worth of credit towards whatever the hell you want to watch.
Yeah.
You could use it towards that. You could use it towards whatever you want to watch on Fight TV. So until we land Impact Plus as a sponsor, that'll have to do.
I will say this too. They are also on Fight Impact Plus. If you have an Impact Plus membership, you can also just use Fight. It is connected to. So that's a really cool thing. But yeah, Impact Wrestling, Bash at the Brewery, hell of a fucking show. D'Lo Brown does commentary on there, and it's really cool hearing him talk wrestling.
That ought to be interesting.
Yeah. But some interesting things happened over the course of the pay-per-view event. One of the things that happened before we talk about the main event, Brian Cage wrestled his last match for Impact Wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
He is no longer a member of Impact Wrestling. He has officially signed with AEW. The details of when he's going to arrive are still unknown. But look out for that soon. I would say I probably at the earliest the pay-per-view next month.
Yeah, that makes sense. Unless he shows up in a TV title tournament somewhere.
TV title tournament, yeah. There's also, I somebody had thrown out there, and this doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me, but the situation with MJF and whoever the hell that fucking guy is. I've seen him wrestle twice.
Wardlow.
Yeah, the most unimpressive guy I've ever seen in the ring. To kind of like be like Cody's version of Wardlow. That's not good. That's not a good fit. I don't want to see that.
Yeah,
but I've heard that so many times. That's why I bring it up. Yeah, not a good fit for me. There's so many things you can do with Brian Cage. The only thing I hope for Brian Cage is they stop doing these stupid Terminator things.
Yeah,
It all looks terrible. Absolutely terrible. But anyways, he wrestled his last match. Every title was retained successfully with the exception of one, and that is the Impact Wrestling World Championship. We talked about this on the show. The time has definitely ran out, and Impact Wrestling was the first company to crown a female world champion. And that world champion is Tessa Blanchard.
But not without controversy.
Well, see, and here's the thing. Yes, not without controversy. And I expected some controversy because, you have the bigots that are calling this a disgrace. that women have their own division for a reason, and that they don't belong in this division, all of that. Like I expected that. I expected all that. That some people are just like, this is bullshit. What a disgrace to the title. This is why I don't watch Impact Wrestling. And all this other shit.
Damn, who's shitting their cereal?
It was just constant. I was reading comment after comment after comment. Just like just to see like how long it would go, and I just gave up. I'm like, wow. There's so many backwards people that still live here on this planet. But I expected that. I did. And it is what it is. You don't like it, don't watch the product. That's all I can say. But that's not the only controversy. That's actually not the controversy that we were referring to. Unfortunately, it goes deeper than that. And it starts the day before Hard to Kill. And Tessa Blanchard posted a tweet. I don't recall the exact tweet, but it had something to do about women supporting women.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's really it. I mean, I didn't see anything bad about the post. I guess some people kind of took it as a little condescending.
I think that's what it was, more often than not.
And we can go and talk about how reading text is not always the best thing to take, to read between the lines.
Of course.
But regardless, there's been a handful of individuals, all wrestlers, that have come out and have made accusations at Tessa Blanchard regarding her attitude within the company. They have called her a bully, and they even have came out and said that she said some racial slurs, or at least a racial slur during a tour in Japan. I'm not exactly sure what tour they're referring to, but regardless, these are what things that are being said. Some of the names that are being said that are saying these things are Chelsea Green, Allison Kay. I know Priscilla Kelly has been on there, as well as I believe at least two others. And it has sparked a ton of backlash from wrestling fans. So not only did you have the backwards people that didn't want to see a woman as world champion, but now also how dare Impact reward a racist bully, not my words by the way, ladies and gentlemen, but a racist bully and reward her with the most prestigious prize in their business. I have some things I have to say about this, but I'm going to let you go first. As a fan, what is your take on this? And now I'm going to also have you fantasy book too. As a booker, what the hell do you do in a situation like this?
All right, so first off, as a fan, you and I, over the course of our wrestling ventures, you and I have heard it from multiple people. Oh, I met Tessa Blanchard. She's a dick. She thinks her shit don't stink. Things like that. And you know what? It's for me personally, it's happened way too often from a lot of different people to not sit there and give it some sort of truth.
Sure.
So, that's one thing. And whether she's that same dick these days or not, that's a whole different story. I have not been anywhere around Tessa Blanchard at a show for quite some time, so I couldn't tell you if she's a dick these days or not. But you got to remember, when what is the saying? First impressions are important or whatever. That's kind of what's going on here. If you're a fan and the first time you meet Tessa Blanchard, she rubs you the wrong way for whatever reason, guess what? Everybody these days is going to fucking hear about it. So now, come back around years later or whatever, and she's got success going for her and what have you, that's going to be the first thing out of most people's mouths. Oh, well, she's a dick. It comes with the territory. My point here with all this is, Tessa Blanchard, if you're out there being a dick, don't be a dick.
Yeah.
You know, and that goes for everybody. Like, just don't be dicks. Because the moment you're a dick to somebody, eventually it's going to come back to you, and usually tenfold. That's how karma works. But as a booker, let's face it, there's no such thing as bad heat. And so, you know, what do you do? Now, Chelsea Green made a specific comment about Tessa using the N-word in Japan.
Yes. And I believe Allison Kay backed that up as well.
Allison Kay backed it up. She's the current NWA Women's Champ. If that was the case, if it happened, it happened. You know, I don't condone it.
Absolutely no.
But it's now out there in the ether that is the internet, and if I were Tessa Blanchard, and she already has started running Damage Control, but that's all you can really do. I mean, it's, you know, you shouldn't be doing it in the first place, but hey, again, it's Damage Control at this point. As far as Impact, I don't think it was a surprise. You know, this is nothing new to them. I'm sure she's had issues with the company before, or her attitude rather, during her tenure there at Impact. And let's face it, they've overlooked it, obviously, because she's holding the gold now. And you know what? There's the other thing too is, there's got to be a lot of people out there that are kind of hating on her.
Yeah.
On the other side of this coin, because she's a world champ now, and you know it's a major title, and she's the first to do it as a female, which, you know, that's its own that's its own beast. But as a booker, you try to harness all that heat as much as you can, and you go with it, man. Let's face it. Anybody who thought she was going to be a babyface champ, I don't know what you were thinking. There's no way. I understand she was fighting fucking Death Machine himself, but
Mega heel,
but
draw, baby.
But let's call it what it was. That was a heel versus heel match, if anything. So if you think her attitude is going to change, and all of a sudden she's going to go over as a babyface, you thought wrong. There's no way in hell that's going to work, especially now with all this backlash from other wrestlers. So, and if Impact is going to do anything with it, that's what they need to do. They need to harness as much heat as possible. My only thing now going forward is, if she's going to be a heel champ, you better start lining up those baby faces, and they better, whatever story they're trying to tell in that ring, it better be as credible, if not better, than what her and Sami Callihan did in that ring for that match. So that's me as a booker.
We talked about heel versus heel. You know, I've already been known as the resident heel of this podcast. It's a title that I wear proudly, because it is what it is. I might make some more people upset here, and that's fine, because I think things need to be put in perspective. First of all, I don't know what happened. I'm not going to claim that I know what happened. I don't condone any kind of bully of any kind. I don't condone any kind of racism of any kind. So everybody get that straight. Here's what I get pissed off about society. We talked about this during the Michael Elgin Me Too situation.
Okay.
I'm sick and tired of when an accusation gets put out there that immediately that person is guilty of everything that is said. That word of mouth is all that we ever need to convict somebody.
Yeah, that's the society we live in these days.
And it's disgusting.
It is.
And for everybody that's out there, including fans of the show, listeners of the show, you should be fucking ashamed of yourself for being that type of person.
Damn.
I can't change you, but you are every much what's wrong with the society. That we are just going to vilify somebody based off of what somebody said. If it happened, it happened. And at some point in her career, she's going to get hers. There's no doubt about that. I do believe in karma. And if you're a fucking prick, if you're a piece of shit, eventually you're going to get what's coming to you. Does that change the fact that she's the first ever female world champion in pro wrestling? No. She's going to have that crown. But let's look at it this way. Are we going to take away all the credentials of Hulk Hogan because of what he said?
Yeah,
no.
Clearly no one has.
Yeah. He's still the Hulkster. Everybody wants to see Hulk Hogan.
He's going into a Hall of Fame again.
And he's probably going to be a headliner for WrestleMania because we need to see that. I mean, so again, these are the things that like it's we can't take it away. We can't take it away. And as a booker, I'm going to answer my own question. I don't look at fucking Twitter for anything. You know, this is what we put all of our chips into. The day before, I'm not just going to fucking be like, all right, well, fuck this. She did, regardless of anything, she didn't commit a crime. She didn't kill anybody. Tessa Blanchard is our world champion. That's what we're going to book. Plain and simple. That's what we've been booking for months now. I'm not. Nobody should expect Impact Wrestling 24 hours before the show to be like, all right, we got to change everything. That's poor booking. And that's putting your product in jeopardy, more so than actually having Tessa win the title. If you don't believe that, read a fucking book about booking because you can't flip the script that fast for something. I'm sorry to say, but that minor. Now again,
I mean you can. It just won't be successful.
It won't be successful. You're right. And again, I'm not taking any of these accusations lightly. You know, these are very serious things. But also, and again, this is where I become the heel. This is where I become maybe a conspiracy theorist. But if this happened, why the fuck are we just hearing about it now?
No, yeah.
Again, it's the coincidence of the Marty Scurll situation all over again. We're going to wait 24 hours before Tessa Blanchard is about to become the Impact Wrestling World Champion. And we're gonna point the finger at her and say, "Oh, she's this and she's that and she's this. Don't like her. Don't support her. She's not. She doesn't represent women." It's amazing to me because if you really were hurt and offended and appalled by what she said to this individual,
you would have already said something.
Yeah,
simple as that.
So for Chelsea Green and Allison Kay, you are just as much at fault than Tessa Blanchard is because you didn't speak up. You waited until she's about to win the Impact Wrestling World Championship to say, hey, she's a bully and she's a racist. I'm sorry, but that don't fly here. Not only that, but, I hate to bring this up too, but let's look at Chelsea Green. What company does she work for? WWE. Allison Kay, NWA. Priscilla Kelly, who didn't talk into the racist aspect of it, but the bully part. Yeah. Who does she work for? MLW. Nobody within Impact Wrestling, including the people that you would want to listen to because they don't have anything to lose, like a Tommy Dreamer who has come out and said, "I don't buy any of this shit." I don't. And again, he wasn't there, but. He was one of those guys that when Tessa first got hired on by Impact, he was one of those guys like, hey, you need to watch this girl because she's got a reputation on her, and he's like, okay, this is what he's basically what he said. He's a guy that he's going to judge a book by what he sees. Sounds like a good human being to me, and from what he sees. According to him, he's 99.9% confident that Tessa Blanchard is not what they say. Now, again, doesn't mean it wasn't what happened, but it's also one of those things too, where it's only certain people in society, mainly men, and again, this is coming from a man, where we vilify you for a little bit, and then we just forget about it. Hulk Hogan says some pretty nasty things, and then it's like, okay, yeah, we forget about it now. You're the Hulkster again. But for Tessa Blanchard, it's immediately like, you're a disgrace, you don't belong, you got a bad attitude, yada, yada, yada. She lost she won the title from a man who's filled with controversy in his own right, who has been removed from companies like MLW for controversial acts, and the man is shredded with controversy and just endorses it. All you're doing is making Tessa Blanchard's name that much more strong. Now, I know she lost a booking. I don't know the name of this company. It's some small company. They're basically just trying to take the safe route. I don't fault them for it. It is what it is. You're making a business decision. I don't agree with it, but that's their call. But I don't see Tessa Blanchard losing a lot of important bookings because of this. And until somebody comes out and says something, I don't think this is going to hold any weight. Again, ladies and gentlemen, this is fucking Twitter. This is not a court of law.
I don't know. To some people,
other fellow wrestlers have come out. Moose, who is an African American wrestler, has come out and said, you guys, to all the other people pointing fingers, you guys act like you guys are fucking saints. Meaning that there's probably a lot of shit, a lot of dirt on a lot of people, which is the way of human nature. Nobody's fucking perfect. Again, nobody here at 20 by 20 Ring Crew is condoning any kind of bully. Nobody's condoning any kind of racism. But at some point, we just gotta we gotta thicken up our skin a little bit, and we gotta just move forward. Whoever she said this to should be the one that worries about it, and nobody else.
And nobody else, yeah.
This is pro wrestling. I had a conversation with a guy that said that, and I pulled up a conversation regarding Brock Lesnar from a few years ago. You want to talk about being a bully? How about literally going to Vince McMahon and telling him, I refuse to wrestle this guy because he's not a big enough draw, and completely destroying this man's career in Jinder Mahal?
Oh yeah, that's right.
So that's okay. That's okay to destroy a man's career who was busting his ass week in and week out to get over, and you, Mr. Fat, out of shape piece of shit wrestler, and Brock Lesnar comes in because a bunch of fucking WWE marks, just love to worship this man's dick, comes in and says, "Hey, I don't think he's gonna draw well with me. So take the title off of him. Don't even give him a big match. Just do it on Raw. Just get him out of here." And with AJ Styles. That's okay. That's okay to and I don't know if Brock Lesnar have anything to do with this, but that's okay to strip, again, a guy like Kofi Kingston of everything that he did. And it's like, hey, you're not big enough for this kind of thing. So not only are you going to lose a title, but you're going to lose a title and never be fucking heard of again, as far as that title is concerned. But that's okay, because I like that product. I stand by that product. This kind of bigotry in professional wrestling makes me fucking sick, and this is why I tend to dislike talking wrestling with other people other than my partner here, because it seems like so many of you out there don't have rational fucking thoughts and don't think before you speak. Again, I'll say it one more time. I don't condone anything that she's being accused of, but there's also no concrete evidence that any of this shit ever happened. They're just fucking words. Yeah. They're just fingers being pointed. So until anything else happens, well, how about everybody just go along their fucking business and either be okay with Tessa Blanchard being champion or not, but just leave the fucking situation alone. There should be no controversy regarding this. It's to me, this is the most ridiculous thing that I've heard all week. It's to me, it seems like a lot of jealousy amongst the female talent.
Yeah, I'm sure some of it's jealousy.
And for the women saying something, maybe put in work the way that Tessa Blanchard has, because as much as Tessa Blanchard might be a dick, when she goes in that ring, she's all business. Yeah. And there's a lot of well-known wrestlers, a lot of really well-respected wrestlers, like a Harley Race. That was a fucking dick.
Yeah.
But everybody loves Harley. Here's another one. Here's one for maybe this generation. An Undertaker was known to be a huge fucking dick in that ring.
Yeah.
But he's loved and respected.
Yeah.
Why is it not okay for Tessa Blanchard to be a little bit rough with her opponent?
Because she doesn't shoot lightning.
She doesn't shoot lightning, yeah.
That's why.
Or bleed buckets of blood. But I did see her go one-on-one against Nick Gage, and she held her own. So that's saying something.
Well, yeah. Again, you want to step in her shoes. You want to walk in her shoes. Take bookings like that.
Yeah.
Go up against a Nick Gage.
Go up against. She's going up against Amazing Red WrestleMania weekend.
Do
that.
Do that.
What is Chelsea Green doing? That's relative to anything. I mean, she's on NXT, but before that, what was she doing? You're wrestling dark matches on WWE. Like, shut up. You're not doing anything.
Speaking of shit we've seen all week, we're gonna take a break, and when we come back, I want to hear the coolest shit you've seen this week. All right?
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good. All right, you folks stay tuned. We're going to pay some bills real quick, and then we'll come back with the coolest shit we've seen this week. So stay tuned.
This edition of the 20 by 20 Ring Crew has been brought to you by Amazon. Get your Amazon Prime subscription today. You get unlimited music, unlimited ebooks, unlimited movies and TV shows available through their Amazon Prime subscription, as well as free 2-day shipping on many products through Amazon.com, as well as in certain areas, 1-day shipping. So if you're an impatient person like me, you can get 1-day shipping. Is that right, Joe?
Yeah, don't forget the unlimited photo storage, too. I think that's pretty
oh, absolutely.
I don't have anything on my photo storage as of yet, at least nothing I could share with the public, but
ooh.
It's photos of me and Kenny Omega. Are you jealous?
I don't even want to talk about it. Tell them where to go. That's all I got to say.
You can find more information on Amazon Prime subscriptions through us, and by doing so, you'll help us here at the show. You don't have to pay anything extra. You sign up for Amazon Prime through us. You get 30 days to try out Amazon Prime. You can cancel anytime. We still get the love from Amazon. Go ahead and check us out at 20x20crew.com/podcast/Amazon. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you again for hanging in there with us, your 20 by 20 Ring Crew.
Hope nobody hates me too much.
They'll get over it.
Yeah.
I promise.
Regardless, I do want to say congratulations, a legit congratulations to Tessa Blanchard. That's a big deal.
It's a big deal, man. It's a big deal, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see where they go next and who they've got lined up for, and more importantly, where they let that belt travel.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, this is a huge thing for wrestling, no matter who's holding it. So, but yeah, moving on from that.
We promised you the coolest shit this week, and that's what we're going to do. This week, the coolest shit this week is sponsored once again by Netflix. If you don't have a Netflix subscription, I know we did Hulu last week, we're doing Netflix this week. Go check out some cool shit on Netflix. I, for one, I have just this odd fascination with watching baking shows at some point.
Okay.
I am all about the Zimbo's Just Dessert Season 2. It just, some of the shit they come up with is just flabbergasting.
I'm not familiar. You're going to have to play me a clip. Visit our website, 20x20crew.com/podcast/Netflix.
We're going to tell you how to get a Netflix subscription for less money. Believe it or not, it is possible. We're going to let you do that. 20x20crew.com/podcast/Netflix. And, yeah. So there you go. Coolest shit this week. I'm going to let you start.
So, I'm not going to go far from where we just talked about in part one of this podcast, of this episode. I'm not, again, like I did with Wrestle Kingdom previous week, I'm not going to talk about Tessa Blanchard, although that was, because I didn't see it, but that was some cool shit.
That was some cool shit.
But I'm going to stick with Impact Wrestling, and actually, it's a double match here. But coolest shit I've seen this week, it goes hands down to the Unbreakable Michael Elgin. For those who didn't see Impact Wrestling, the July 7th episode, or Bash at the Brewery, which took place on January 10th. Holy fuck. Michael Elgin put on two hell of a match. Two matches that just absolutely blew my fucking mind this past week in like less than a week's span.
Okay.
I mean, I get Impact Wrestling is taped and all that stuff, but first match on the January 7th episode of Impact Wrestling, he puts on a match against the man who he actually fought at Hard to Kill in Eddie Edwards.
Oh, okay.
Those guys absolutely tore the fucking house down. And then he does it again at Bash at the Brewery, this time against the very charismatic Joey Ryan.
Oh, Jesus.
And you can only imagine the type of spots that you see in it. Both men put on give Elgin a hell of a match, and you know what? I wanted to do Michael Elgin because it seems like the wrestling world isn't taking to Michael Elgin very well for whatever reason, and I don't know, like besides the personal issues aside, the man is delivering great match after great match after great match. There's nothing short of like perfection when it comes to this man, and he did it again, and that was definitely my coolest shit this week.
And he's been doing that for years, man. I remember we got to see him at a Ring of Honor War of the Worlds show, and him and the Ace tore it down, man. They stole the show the entire night. I was like, oh my god, and I got to say congratulations to him after the match. He walked past us. And I'm like, man, that was fucking great, dude. I didn't watch either of those matches, but I will now. I mean,
yeah, I implore anybody else to definitely do that as well.
Impact is definitely one of the promotions that I always find myself playing catch up in like big chunks at once.
Yeah.
So, but I'll definitely check it out, man. That's awesome. And no surprise to me. Again, Michael Elgin, man. If you're sleeping on Michael Elgin, that's your own damn fault.
Yeah, you need to wake the fuck up.
Wake the fuck up and watch some pro wrestling. My coolest shit this week, man. I'm kind of upset with myself.
Okay, oh.
Because it's coming from the WWE, believe it or not.
Sounds like me last week.
There was a lot of cool shit this week, but it took me by surprise because, one, this guy's got 2 brand new knees. They're, like 4 to 6 months old now. Mm-hmm. And he's one of those performers that, like, I know what he's capable of, just like Michael Elgin. And I think a lot of people still sleep on him, even though he's working for the WWE. I'm talking about Kevin Owens. And he's one of the few things I actually still like about the WWE at this point, as far as main roster shows go. Just his performances are they're true. They're true to what he is, and you don't really have a lot of room for that necessarily in the WWE. But he did a spot off of their like stage style Titantron where it kind of goes up off the ramp and just curves up into a big tall screen.
Okay.
He literally ran and ran off the wall. Like he ran up.
Oh shit.
Yeah, he ran up it and then off of it and did a senton splash. And it was just like a really simple fucking move, but like I've never seen, like, why hasn't Ricochet done that shit?
Yeah.
Like somebody like that. And here you have fucking Kevin Owens, who's not a small guy, mind you.
No, absolutely not.
And I was like, God damn, man, like that was great. Like, when can we see more of that shit? I don't see anybody else trying that shit. So kudos to Kevin Owens for grabbing my attention. That was the coolest shit I seen this week.
There's so many great talents in WWE, and every once in a while, even though it's extremely watered down, every once in a while you get that glimmer of what they used to be.
Right?
So, I mean, besides NXT and NXT UK, like I'm talking about main roster, you get that glimmer, and it's cool to see that. I personally didn't see that segment. I'll have to go back. I'm trying to play catch up on Raw. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I'm actually trying to be as unbiased as I possibly can. And
yeah, we really do try.
Yeah,
we'll sit. I mean, it might take us a little while, but we'll sit through even the shit.
The two TVs definitely help. I get to. It's like I'm watching Raw or I watch SmackDown, but I'll have something else on too. So, therefore, if there is something that catches my attention, I will definitely pay attention to it. But at least I get a glimpse of everything, at least, or try to.
Yeah, I usually have a laptop going and my phone, and then sometimes when I'm feeling froggy, a tablet on top of that. How about that?
Yeah, that's dedication right there.
Sometimes it's the only way to keep up with some of this shit.
Yeah, and it's not just WWE. I find myself doing that with a lot of things. I mean, sometimes you just, you miss. Like I told Joe, I haven't watched wrestling in 2 days, and it's like I've missed so much in 2 days. like where you been? Like man, you can't catch a break for like 5 minutes. Something I wanted to bring up too, because Royal Rumble is happening this month, and for those that are aware of, there's this is the beginning of WrestleMania season. So
you've seen the card got leaked, right?
Mm-mm.
No. So somebody online from WWE
for WrestleMania got leaked
from WWE production somehow leaked a copy of the rough card, and it's clearly on WWE paper and the whole nine.
Yeah.
And so they as of right now the main event, and again, take this with a grain of salt, because it is a rough draft of the card, and let's face it, it could be fake.
Right.
But either way, I just found it amusing that the main event that is currently they have scheduled is the whole Bobby Lashley. It would be a mixed tag. It would be Lana and Lashley versus Liv and Rusev. So.
Well,
but the entire match list on that picture, it's like dog shit, dude. So dog shit even for a WrestleMania, man.
Well, this is going to make this a very more interesting topic. But so first of all, actually, before I do that, because I'm looking at the Royal Rumble, the current Royal Rumble card, and it reminds me of a conversation that I had with a person that's was working at a local retail store. They saw my AEW hat and immediately scoffed at me, and this is WWE territory. One of those dorks. I'm like, all right, whatever. Like I left it alone. Like it is what it is. He proceeded to come up to me and tell me everything that he doesn't like about AEW. Now, yes, I wear an AEW hat. No, I am not an AEW mark. I'm not a mark of any promotion. I am a fan of pro wrestling. I just happen to like that hat. I bought it at the Fight for the Fallen show. Fucking sue me. I wear an AEW hat. So he tells me everything he doesn't like about the show. And, he's like, yeah, I get tired of watching the same show every single week. That's what AEW is. It's the same show every single week. And and he went on about this tangent about like the audacity of Chris Jericho, like bashing a company that put him on the map, which I had to explain to him they are not the company that put him on the map. But,
no,
he was already a well-established name. That's why he got that pop when he debuted in August of 1999. Yeah. And, I mean, that's why he got that pop, because he's fucking Chris Jericho. So they did not put him on the map. That's not the first time that I've heard this. This is the only reason why I'm bringing this guy up. Because I've heard this before. And then the other thing is, too, I've heard this a lot, is like they put on the same show every single week. From WWE marks... First of all, there's two things I have to say about that. First of all, they don't. I don't know what the hell you're watching. Second of all, even if they were, that's one of those things where it's like pot meet kettle. and I bring up the Royal Rumble card because what do I see on this card? What do I see on this fucking card but Roman Reigns versus King Corbin for the 20th time in a month?
Oh, my God, why?
You want to come at me and say AEW puts on the same fucking show every single month? We're not playing that game. Roman Reigns versus Corbin has happened so goddamn much that I think most of the fans are just like looking at this and like, again, we're doing this again. But it's okay when WWE does it. You know, this is the type of shit that I deal with. I just want to rib that guy because it's like I whether I see them on the street or I talk to them online, like these are the type of people that I deal with. And Joe deals with it too, where it's just like it makes no goddamn sense what you're saying.
No, it doesn't. It never does.
I had one person come to me and says, hey. They tagged me in a post about AEW not selling out the Miami show. They're still selling tickets the day of. They're like, oh, what does that say about your boys? Again, they're not my boys. I don't fucking know them. I'm just a fan of the product.
But also, let's be a little more clear about attendance to a wrestling event in general. Like, who the fuck is selling out shows?
A weekly show, which we've talked about that on this podcast before.
Nobody's selling out shows.
But
with the exception of the first night of Wrestle Kingdom,
yeah,
that sold out. But like the second night, I don't think sold out. I know they came close.
Right. Well, not only that, but let's talk about the infamous Stomping Grounds pay-per-view, where I mean, what was? Let me look up this number again. It was 20,000 person arena, 6,000 roughly.
Okay. Yeah.
So you got a little over a quarter of the venue.
It was so bad that no matter how they cut the camera angles, you could still see massive amounts of seats just missing.
And that's a pay-per-view, so I mean, I don't want to hear any of this, like, oh, they didn't sell out. Like, WWE rarely ever sell out. They sell out WrestleMania. But that's it.
That's it.
Really. Maybe SummerSlam. You're selling out 2 venues, 2 shows a year. It's... Come on, guys. Come on. But at any rate, WrestleMania, obviously the biggest show of the year for WWE. I read an article recently. This is an opinion article. I don't remember the website. But the guy made very, very interesting points, and I wanted to talk about them because it kind of fits with WrestleMania season coming up.
Okay.
Wrestle Kingdom just happened. Again, if you haven't seen it, we implore you to go and watch it. 20x20crew.com/podcast/NJPW. Get yourself 30 days for free. You can check out Wrestle Kingdom both nights. You can see the amazing spectacle that was Wrestle Kingdom. See the double champion be crowned. See the beautiful, beautiful celebration of Juice and Thunder Liger and everything else that occurred across Wrestle Kingdom, as well as New Year Dash, as well as all the other years of New Japan action, and as well as the upcoming New Beginning tour, both in the U.S. and Japan. So he brought up some interesting points regarding why Wrestle Kingdom works the way that to the extent that it works. And one of the first things that he mentioned was commentary. And at no point is he bashing WWE. This guy very much sounds like a wrestling fan. But he pointed out something that like WWE really should start considering, and that is what Kevin Kelly and Chris Charlton especially do, and that's give you relevant statistics. Case in point, Kazuchika Okada. Kazuchika Okada, for those who didn't watch Wrestle Kingdom yet, it was mentioned during the show that he has wrestled longer. He's been in the ring longer than anybody else in 2019. So his endurance, like, this is the reason why his endurance would overmatch Naito because nobody else has been in the ring longer than his. Relevant fact.
Sure, absolutely.
Zack Sabre Jr. Nobody has more submission victories in 2019 than Zack Sabre Jr., which goes into why he got the submission victory night one at Wrestle Kingdom. Why he was such a dangerous submission threat to Sonata, even though he didn't get a submission victory against Sonata, but why that's a possibility. And it leads to, gives you that same situation that where I took it as like if you were a commentator for a sporting event, the Super Bowl. You know, you were there plugging statistics that maybe seem irrelevant, but when you really start saying it, you know, fourth quarter's on the line, you know, and so has 38 out of 38 fourth quarter comebacks. Can he do it again on the biggest event? Those things matter. Those things add hype. Those things add excitement to it. Commentary is very important. And, you know, we talked about commentary last week in regards to Corey Graves and his lack thereof, really. And I'm not trying to be insulting to Corey Graves because I don't like the guy. I'm being I'm really more or less being constructive to him because he is one of their top commentators, one of their top color guys in the business, whether I like it or not, within the company. And he doesn't do any of that. Here's a guy that has wrestling knowledge, wrestling background. You know, one of the things that you hear in other companies is, you know, a past wrestler, they'll say, okay, they're setting up this move. This is why this is a dangerous move. This is why this hurts. And it really makes you feel like, again, like let's say Troy Aikman talking about a football situation and the quarterback situation, and he's using his experience to help explain something, but also add entertainment value. Where Corey Graves is too busy just being a heel, just to be a fucking heel, and is not adding any wrestling-related content. The very same thing that he bashed Mauro Ranallo about, taking away from Nigel McGuinness and Beth Phoenix, he has ample opportunity to do because Michael Cole, believe it or not, does set him up, and he doesn't deliver anything to the table.
No.
And not that Michael Cole is the best setup man in the business, because he's not by any means. But it was a very interesting point. Like these are very important things. Another thing was the situation of he brought up Liger. Situations of legacies never die. Legacies live forever. Jushin Thunder Liger lost both of his matches at Wrestle Kingdom, I'm specifically talking about the second nights where he lost to Lee and Takahashi,
right?
Where it was very much here's the torch, this is yours now, I'm done, this is yours. And where the WWE dropped the ball with that last year was the Kurt Angle situation.
Oh yeah,
there was no rhyme or reason to what they did with him and Corbin. This was his go home match. This was it, and it brought nothing to the table. It was a complete wasted opportunity to pass that torch.
It was, well, the sense they tried to make of it was they were trying to get Corbin over.
Didn't work.
And it didn't work. But you're right, they did drop the ball. Who goes into it? Like, you have a show like WrestleMania. You're constantly pushing WrestleMania moments, right? It's a big thing. You want, that's part of the appeal that you sign talent for. You know, you get talent and they're like, I want my WrestleMania moment. So you come across one which should have been really fucking important because it's Kurt Angle's retirement match. And whether he loses or wins, you don't put him over. He could have easily lost. He did, but he could have easily lost, and they set it up for him to be appreciated after the fact. And whatever appreciation was there, he did on his own. There was no help from the company, you know? And you're right. It was a completely missed opportunity that could have went on to be such a special WrestleMania moment.
Yeah.
Regardless of the win or loss.
You forget about it. You forget about something like
No
that.
one cared.
Yeah.
No one cared except for Kurt Angle.
Yeah. And it's a shame. It's a shame that's how you sent him out. It's a shame that's how you carried on his legacy. I mean, you have Takahashi literally yelling at Liger, telling him he won't let his legacy die.
Yeah.
Beautiful moment. Whether you understood it or not, verbally when it happened, it was a beautiful moment. And those are the kind of things that last forever.
But again, to bring this full circle, you have Kevin Kelly sitting there in English commentary telling you what was being said. And Chris Charlton, exactly what was being said.
Exactly. I mean, these are very important things, ladies and gentlemen. A couple other things, too, that were brought up. And this is more, I want to hear your opinion on this. Because, and he even, this guy, I don't remember the gentleman's name who wrote this article. Again, this is just an opinion article, but it was very good, interesting points, and I really enjoyed the read on this. And Wrestle Kingdom, they went 2 nights. Mm-hmm. WrestleMania it seems like it gets longer every single year. Last year, I believe it went like close to 7 hours.
Yeah, it was like 6 hours and I want to say like 14 minutes or some shit.
And it very much felt like that. Wrestle Kingdom,
it felt like 12 hours, bro.
I just remember sitting there watching it with Mel, and we're just kind of like, God, this is still on. Like I just want to go home.
I wanted to go to bed.
Yeah,
I was in bed, and I'm like, I can't. Like, please, just turn it off.
Just be done with this shit. Yeah, and your Wrestle Kingdom doesn't feel that way. And again, these are our opinions. I totally get that. But Wrestle Kingdom went 2 nights. Would WrestleMania benefit if they did the same thing?
No, absolutely not. I'll tell you why. NXT. NXT's putting on a much better show. And it's sometimes way less than 3 hours, and they're stealing all the heat from the weekend.
Well, I think regardless, though, I think that's the problem. I think that's the problem with a lot of WrestleMania is by the time WrestleMania happens, a lot of the actual wrestling fans they're tired.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because you have the entire...
And now you got to sit through a 6-hour show.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, you have the bar raised so damn high from everybody else, including your own product, including NXT. But, let's be serious here. It's also including Ring of Honor. It's also including everybody else that goes out there and puts on a show. It is very much a very difficult thing to try to compete with.
No, you're right, but none of that matters because you still have to put on a show. It still has to be entertaining, and the way they go about producing it, it's too much. It's too much. The way they produce WrestleMania these days, all the momentum that they build, whether it's during a match or during a segment, it doesn't keep flowing. The momentum doesn't carry in a positive manner. And then even when there's not supposed to be momentum and there's supposed to be a downturn because they're trying to, switch up the emotion of the card, they still can't get that right either because it's too choppy. Everything's too choppy. It's not produced very well. The production value, great, I get it. It's high quality. But again, I hate to sit there and beat a dead horse, my brother Matt, but no one needs to see a fucking 12-minute helicopter ride. No one.
Just make it 11 minutes and we'll call it good. No, I agree. You know what it is? It's heavily overproduced. The entire event feels choreographed.
Yeah.
And I get wrestling to an extent is choreographed to an extent, but you have to let the talent be themselves. Any night of the fucking year, WrestleMania needs to be that night, and WrestleMania needs to be that night where Vince, you got us here. Now go the fuck home and let everybody else do their thing. Not only that, but the relying, and I know good friends of the show are going to hate me for saying this, but relying on old, just redundant talent like Hulk Hogan it's not the way to fucking get that fucking show over.
No.
If you want to see Hulk Hogan, 20x20crew.com/podcast/WWE Network. Watch WrestleMania 1 through fucking 9. That's all you need.
Yeah.
I don't need him at fucking 70 years old anymore.
He can barely get around, and I get it. He's training. He wants his last match against Vince McMahon. Anybody in their right mind does not want to see that. You know, and you're right. There are friends of the show who are going to get mad at that. But tell me what the appeal is there. You know, I wish I could say it was nostalgia, but at this point, it's beyond that.
Yeah.
It's completely beyond that. There's no rhyme or reason for him to be fighting Vince McMahon in the fucking ring. You know? It's
like fucking Mrs. Dad fighting Shane McMahon last year. It's
yeah,
what's the point
what the fuck
of that?
was that all about? What good did that do? None. It didn't do any good.
Yeah, I don't need to see any of that. I don't need to see my time wasted on old fucking news. I don't need to see it. I mean, we didn't see it last year. I don't know if they're going to talk about it this year, but I don't need to see an Undertaker match. I like The Undertaker. I don't need to see that anymore. You know, they pointed out during both Night 2 of Wrestle Kingdom and the New Year's Dash, Jushin Thunder Liger, a fucking legend in this business. A legit legend in this business. Not that The Undertaker isn't. But where was his match on the card? First match. And they went the shortest each night.
Yeah.
He didn't want to fucking take any time away from the actual legit draws because he knows at his age he is not a fucking draw anymore. Not to the extent of what he used to be.
Right.
That's respect and love for the business. So for everybody else, learn from a guy like Jushin Thunder Liger and step the fuck aside for the rest of your talent.
Thank you.
That is putting on...
Yeah, he didn't even want a match.
No, yeah. He didn't want a match or a ceremony.
Yeah, they're like, no, it's tradition. You gotta have it. Like, I don't want it.
Like, just step the fuck aside and let the people that are putting on fucking shows, you know, in May and June and July and all the other months that aren't as big as April, and let them have their fucking moment. Let them have it. That's, to me, 2 nights, 1 night, 3 nights, a whole fucking week of WrestleMania. It doesn't matter if you continue to put on the same regurgitated matches over and over and over and over again. The last thing that I want to bring up, and actually this had nothing to do with the article, but I had had this conversation. I was like, one of the other things that I get so tired of in WWE, and they did this. They keep doing this with big matches. You know, they did this again with the NXT UK Women's Championship. As much as I love Toni Storm, they added somebody. They added her in a match that she had no business being in.
Okay.
They can never seem to get away from the multi-person match. And I love triple threats. I love fatal four-ways. I don't, just like last year at the end of WrestleMania, you know, we had to throw in Charlotte Flair for no fucking reason. She wasn't doing shit. She was not even on a roll. It was built up as Lynch versus Rousey, even though I didn't want to see Rousey in the main event. But it was built up as Lynch versus Rousey. 2 weeks prior, Asuka drops the title, gets fucked over, you know, just like per usual. And Charlotte says, hey, I'm in the main event now. We're going to make this winner-take-all kind of fucking match. And it becomes a triple threat. Just like a couple years prior to that, it was Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. Midway through the match, hey, we're going to put in Seth Rollins in here for no fucking reason, and it's now a triple threat match. Wrestle Kingdom. This past year, Okada, Naito. The year before that, Omega, Tanahashi. The year before that, Okada, Naito. You see what I'm doing here, ladies and gentlemen? These are one-on-one matches. Everything is on the line. There's no bullshit, no excuses. The best wrestler, in theory, talking to you, Tanahashi, the best wrestler that night wins the match. That will always have more significance than a triple threat or a fatal four-way or five-way or six-way. Not saying they have no business in wrestling. Not saying they can't be the main event. But maybe, just maybe, consider for this year's WrestleMania, let's drop the gimmicks. No interference, no bullshit where somebody comes out to try to screw somebody over, anything like that. Just go 20, 25, 30 minutes at least. Good fucking wrestling. And end your biggest show of the year on the highest note that you can possibly end it. No matter who wins. Let it be something that's earned.
Yeah.
And to me, that right there signifies the most difference between a Wrestle Kingdom and a WrestleMania, because a WrestleMania is just one big giant clusterfuck from beginning to end.
Yeah.
At no point, besides, I'm talking last year now, besides the Kingston and Bryan match, did I felt any kind of comfort. It was just one big giant clusterfuck all fucking night.
All night, man. All night.
I want the best man or best woman to walk out of that final match of WrestleMania and have that fucking moment. You know, if you want to do something, crazy like they did at Wrestle Kingdom, do it after the match. Let them have their moment. Let the fans have a legit wrestling match for once. Just one match. One match is all I'm asking. But knowing WWE, we're probably gonna see Hogan versus Vince in a dog collar street fight for our main event, and I cringe for that post WrestleMania show that we're gonna do. God, do I cringe? It just, oh man. That will not be the coolest shit I see that week.
No, I'm glad you bring up the coolest shit again, because I had something else that I watched that I thought was really cool, but I changed my mind at the last minute because I have mixed emotions about it. I don't know if you've seen this, but it's available online. I'm talking about Chris Van Vliet. If you're not familiar, he's pretty popular these days in wrestling interviews and shoot interviews. He works for AEW, but he has his own YouTube channel where he goes and he just interviews all kinds of professional wrestlers. Well, most recently, I think it was right before the Vampiro interview, he was the first to interview David Benoit.
Wow, okay.
And yeah, that is a big deal, but I'm sitting there, so it's like 49 minutes, give or take. I'm sitting there and I'm watching this, and right off the bat, it's awkward. It's awkward because you were literally looking at the spitting image of Chris Benoit.
Wow.
You are listening to the spitting image of Chris Benoit. It is freaky. Add to that his demeanor. Now, I don't pretend to know David Benoit or Chris Van Vliet for that matter, but here you have a kid, if I'm not mistaken, he was 14 or 15 when the incident happened with his father, and so now he's in his 20s for sure.
No, you're not kidding. I'm looking at a picture of him right now,
and he's a little bit awkward in the interview, and I say it that way because if you read a lot of the comments on YouTube as this was being watched by many of people, everybody was pretty much saying the same few things. One was he looks just like his dad. Another one was he needs to lace up the boots and become Chris Benoit Jr., which he alludes to. And then another thing was like this idea of like blindly telling him like he just needs to do this. He needs to go to wrestling. And Chris Van Vliet makes it very apparent at the beginning of the interview that when you're talking financials, no, he does not. He would actually, unless he's offered some googob amount of money, he's an engineer on an oil rig. He makes a fuck ton of money as it is.
Oh, wow.
And he's very mature for his age.
Mm-hmm.
But there are aspects of his personality where you can tell he's just that little kid. He's Chris's son.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows in the interview, and that's what makes it awkward and creepy. Because a lot of it is Chris Van Vliet like, oh, you're going to get into wrestling? Yeah. Well, who are your favorite wrestlers? And he starts naming off a few, and it's like watching a little kid talk about wrestling. I like Natty Neidhart. And I like, and you're like, okay, that's great. And then Chris Van Vliet talks to him some points in the interview like he is a little kid. Like, what'd you do today? Shit like that kind of a tone.
Oh, okay.
And
I'm kind of getting goosebumps just hearing you talk about this.
And I get where Van Vliet is coming from, because a lot of the subject was about his dad. And, it is very personal, and it is a very touchy subject in the wrestling business and the wrestling world. But I need to say a few things. So, first of all, please go watch. Like, I love Chris Van Vliet. I think he's a great personality. But for those of you who commented, like, this is, like, his best fucking interview, it's not. I'm sorry. This was way too fucking awkward. Second of all, David Benoit or Chris Benoit Jr., whatever he decides to call himself, he doesn't need, I repeat, he doesn't need to go wrestle. Just because you're a big Chris Benoit fan, I'm a Chris Benoit fan. I'm a big Chris Benoit fan. But just because I am, doesn't mean I need to sit there and push this kid to go do something that he might not necessarily want to do.
Yeah.
I had a really big problem with a lot of people saying that. It's just like, dude, why can't he just be? Hasn't enough bad shit already happened to this kid? Like, if he chooses to be a wrestler, great. Hey, that's on him. But at the same time, like, don't push him. It's got to be something that he really wants to do, And a lot of the people online, man, fuck. How can you call yourselves good people?
I did not know about this interview. I didn't know. I knew Chris Benoit had other kids from the previous marriage.
Yeah, it was from the previous marriage.
Right. But wow, that is very intriguing news. Yeah, I don't even know. I'm at a loss for words. I mean, there's a ton of questions, a ton of things we could talk about with that, but it's really irrelevant, mute point at this point. But I definitely need to hear
It's a really interesting interview.
When you were talking to me, the way that he was talking to him,
he laughs like him.
Yeah, I mean, I saw the picture of it. I haven't yet to hear his voice, but it's like, wow, that is creepy. But regardless if I heard it or not, yeah. First of all, let's see, it very much sounds like he's got his shit together in his life. That's saying something for a kid that has lived through what he has lived through.
And when they talk about sensitive stuff,
mm-hmm.
like his maturity shows.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, there's an instance where like he says I'm on Instagram and Twitter, but mostly Instagram, and I'm all I frequent that more, but I still get my fair share of like haters, And Chris Van Vliet's like, "Are you serious?" He's like, "Yeah, I gotta delete comments like, your dad's a murderer and all this shit." And he says it with such nonchalance and like carelessness, like it's no big deal to him. And Van Vliet comments on that like, "Wow, you're a much bigger person than a lot of people." And he's like, "Well, yeah, man. I understand people. They have to say what they want to say, and." Just it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me anymore. I'm like, kudos to you, man. I don't know. Like,
yeah,
I know a lot of people view me as a big person in that regard, but I'm telling you right now, folks, I don't think I could do that.
Yeah, I believe he has a sister.
Yeah,
right?
I believe he says her name is Megan.
Okay. I'm sure both. It goes without saying that they both have lived through quite a lot of stuff in the past, going on 13 years since that incident took place. It's definitely an interview I want to hear, but yeah, I mean, as far as him and wrestling goes, I think it's silly for anybody to just assume that first of all that not only does he want to do that, but is he ever going to be fucking good at it either? I mean, just because his father is Chris Benoit, one of the greatest to ever lift up boots, don't mean shit. You
don't want something to happen in the way of like something like Michael Jordan's kid.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, he played basketball and shit, but just because he had Jordan's name doesn't make him Michael Jordan version 2.0.
Right.
And he went through bullshit because of his dad's name too, and like people just automatically assume like you're just supposed to be fucking great.
Yeah.
Your
dad's Michael Jordan. We've seen that in wrestling. We've seen that with David Flair. We've seen that with Bruno Sammartino's son, David.
Right.
There's other examples where it just doesn't work. Not only that, but he lives with the fact that his dad did do what he did, but he lives with that amongst the rest of society. He has to move on at some point, of course, and that's one thing. But putting him in a wrestling ring puts him in that world where his dad was Chris Benoit, and then Chris Benoit became this infamous being, and you have to also look at safety as a thing too, where if he's now in that world amongst wrestling fans who now all know who his dad is, where he's at now, they may not even know what wrestling is, or couldn't name who his fucking dad was.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying this is one of the things, but like that has to go into, at least for me, or if I was surrounding myself around him, if I was one of his close friends, you're jumping into the Shark Tank now, and there's going to be companies that are not even going to want anything to do with you because you're name. You'll never work for the WWE if that's something you want to go to.
According to him, he's already been banned.
So there you go.
Yep.
And that's he didn't do anything.
No.
He wasn't involved in any of this by any stretch of the imagination.
He got banned from. He was backstage at a WWE show, wearing an AEW hoodie, and they found out, and they essentially like told him you can't be around the company.
No.
For like that purpose.
Oh, okay. So it was basically the same thing like Kevin Smith got.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
You showed up on AEW, you don't exist. Anyways. All right, well, there's still going to be a stigma around this kid regardless. And again, that's overthinking it, and I'm aware of that, but that has to go into consideration that name is just going to follow you.
Yeah.
And no matter if your parent doesn't have infamy around them or not, the whole goal should be to try to break away from that. Anyways, Cody Rhodes doesn't want to be known as Dusty Rhodes' son. He is his son, but he doesn't want to be that anymore.
Well, and that's the thing. Like that's where like the duality of his persona. He's very mature, but like sometimes during that interview, you're like, man, you're talking to a small child.
Yeah.
because he's all about being Chris Benoit Jr. You know, and you're like, is that really a thing you would really want to do? Like, no, you shouldn't do that. Those are big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
First and foremost.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, for anybody, please visit YouTube. It's on there. Just look up Chris Van Vliet. That's VLEET. He's got his own channel, and again, no disrespect to CVV there. I think he does great work, but this was not your best, and I don't think it was necessarily because of him. I think it was just an awkward conversation, you know.
Sure. As far as you and I go, I think that about wraps it up for us. But I do want to. I hate when we end the show this way, but I do want to. In all seriousness, I do want to send my our condolences to. Now, unfortunately, as of this recording, two legends of the business, and that is La Parka and Rocky Johnson. We just got news before we started recording that he has passed away today as well. And anytime we lose somebody in the business, whether we were huge fans or not, it's a tough pill to swallow. And La Parka, he's not the original La Parka that I grew up with, but I got the privilege of watching him quite a few of his matches throughout the years, and tremendous talent. And of course Rocky Johnson, the father of the very well known Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, who was more than that a phenomenal wrestler in his own right, and just a fun guy to watch if you go back and watch some of the older matches of the heyday. So that roster in the big sky just continues to get bigger and bigger.
They say it comes in threes, and this is no different. To a lesser extent, I'm not trying to speak ill of the dead or anything of that matter, but to a lesser extent, we also lost Kendo Nagasaki, who, if you're not familiar, a lot of NWA stuff, especially in Florida. Pretty much a mid-carder most of his life, but very important guy to just about every territory he went to. Definitely got a lot of people over. So
the unsung heroes of the business.
Yeah,
man.
Definitely. Condolences to go to all three families for sure.
Yeah. The wrestling world lost great talent, and
it's crazy.
Deeply be missed.
Yeah.
But with that being said, episode 92 in the books, and how can I get a hold of us?
You can get a hold of us on social media. Facebook.com/20x20crew is our official Facebook page. Come talk to us on Facebook in our group, Facebook.com/groups/20x20talk, where you can talk to Matt and I about all things wrestling. We're available on Twitter, Twitter.com/20x20crew. We are on Instagram, Instagram.com/20x20crew. We are on YouTube, where we offer exclusive material, exclusive to YouTube, in the form of the following contest: 20x20crew.com/podcast/YouTube, all one word. That'll get you straight to our channel. Please hit that subscribe button and sign up for notifications for when we release new exclusive material through YouTube. Also, really quick, we are now available on Castbox.fm. I know a few people have been starting to check us out there. Thank you again for all the new listeners or new avenue you're taking to listen to us. That really helps too. But yeah, we're always looking to expand and just keep continuing to grow, regardless of the situation.
And on that note, we're going to continue to watch some wrestling. We're about to watch both Nick Gage and PCO at the same time, not wrestling each other, thankfully.
I don't know. I would like to see that match. I think Nick Gage would beat
that would be literally
yes.
that. I don't know. I'm scared because that might actually be the literal death of PCO. Maybe someday, but until then, I've been Matt. He's been Joe, and ladies and gentlemen, for the 92nd time, you've been fantastic.
92nd time, baby.
Until next week, we will
see you in the ring.